Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Zakka.
My name is Omar Zakka. I am the youngest of Nizar Zakka's 3 sons. My brothers are Nadim and Kareem, and I'm speaking on the family's behalf. We are residents in Washington, D.C., also have family in Texas. My father wanted me to be sure that I thanked all of you, ladies and gentlemen of the Congress, the representatives of the American people. Thank you for defending human rights, as well as calling attention to my father's plight. And as my father reminded us many times before, the plight of other innocent people, Americans, and those from many other countries being held in hostage in Iran. I know that my dad appreciates how you have stressed the particular obligation the United States has in securing his release, as well as the release of other U.S. persons held in Iran. When the Iranians abducted my father, I had not even graduated high school. At the time, I was following in my father's footsteps. I was a cadet second lieutenant at my father's alma mater, the Riverside Military Academy in Gainesville, Georgia. Like other cadets, I was trying to learn accountability by working and leading my peers during a challenging time in my life. I had hopes and dreams and still do. I thought I'd be in some state college right now doing what any 19-year-old would be doing. Sitting here in Congress was the farthest thing from my mind. However, my dad's close to 2-year ordeal has taught me so much about the importance of life, family, and friends. Today is the 30th day of my dad's latest hunger strike. His will, as I said, as strong as ever. My dad is innocent, and as he says, will not be forced to do things against his will, including signing forced confessions. Even though I was hardly aware or really appreciated the scope of my father's work at the time, I knew enough to be a very proud son. All of my brothers are very proud of him. Our dad is truly a great man, maybe a better man than I'll ever be. My dad has devoted his life for humanitarian and development work, in other words, helping others. My dad used his computer science and mathematics degree from Texas University and his talents to help others in the ICT field. My father believes in the power of information as well as technology and how it can help other communities that the world has neglected and left behind. I have never known him to even have a political standpoint, as all along he proclaimed to be a law-abiding citizen of the world and does not advocate for any party, group, or government. To help advance his mission, he founded and managed a non-profit 501c3 organization, Ijma' USA, with offices right here in Washington, D.C. My father, Nizar Zakka, was invited by Iranian Vice President Mrs. Molaverde to attend in September 2015 in Tehran a conference on women in sustainable development, entrepreneurship, and employment. I'll repeat this because it is so important. My dad had an official invitation from a Syrian official and an Iranian visa. In her invitation letter to my dad, Mrs. Molaverde said that she wanted my dad to speak in Iran because of his countless knowledge, valuable experience, and deep creativeness. Yet despite these nice-sounding words, after the conference, my dad was kidnapped on his way to the airport. Since then, he has been detained and held against his will at the notorious Evin prison. This is why my dad has said throughout this ordeal that he was invited and kidnapped. I was not alive, of course, the first time Iranians took American hostages in 1979. So this is the first time in my short years that I've heard anything like this. So I decided to research about it. Found nothing. This is baffling. It seems as if this is the first time anyone, much less an ICT expert, is invited by a government as a guest, then gets kidnapped by that same government. Taking innocent people hostage is not what civilized governments do. This is why we have repeatedly urged the unconditional release of my dad. To his captors in Iran, please let my dad go. My dad was in Iran as your guest. Why do you treat him this way? It has been 2 years since my father was stolen away from our family. It has been a rough time. In addition to the bad things that have been done to him in Evin, his mother, our grandmother, died last year and my dad was not able to say goodbye to her. We talked about these things since I've had the privilege to speak to him on the phone. His voice and tone alone have made me feel the suffering he has had to endure to this point. These 2 years have done so much damage to him physically that I would never wish this upon anyone in the world. All of this pain and suffering has led my dad to his 5th hunger strike. Why? Because he tells me and my brothers that we do not put our heads down for anyone. My dad said that he would rather die for his cause than live with injustice. He told me it's about liberty or death. He did not say whether he was quoting the famous American Patrick Henry, but he has been inspired throughout his whole life about the American experience of liberty and freedom. My father has been called a prisoner of conscience. This is very difficult for me to say, but as my dad has said again, he would rather die than succumb to his captors. Even in a Wien prison, in his own way, my dad thinks of other prisoners and what they're going through, including some who have family here today. To these families, I know my dad, and if he can, I know that he will do all he can in his power to help your loved ones get out as well. This is his 30th day on hunger strike. I fear for his life and safety. My dad spoke to me briefly this morning. He said he knows that Americans stand for liberty and freedom, and that they won't let him down. You may not be aware that my dad is a horseman. He said today he is no longer feeling hunger, but rather severe excruciating colic pain, tearing him from inside, exactly similar to what a horse feels when he is severely sick. Please, I plead with you, the American people, the people from our ancestral homeland, Lebanon, please do not let my father die in Iran. We ask anyone in a position to do so to please help my brothers and I be reunited with our father. Thank you very much for this special opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zakka. Thank you. Very mature and professional presentation, as well as heartfelt and emotional. I'm sorry that you had to grow up so fast, along with Mr. Levinson. Before your time, you became adults. Mr. Levinson, your father, as we've discussed, is the longest-held American citizen in our nation's history, and his disappearance in 2000